Well, good evening, good afternoon, good middle of the night. I don't know where you are, but I thought I'd come and do a quick live whilst I'm here. It's really weird. I think we Brits are supposed to be totally in love with LA. I can honestly say I'm not. It's a funny place. So on my way in, as per America, really, as we know, very, very pernickety about their border. Very, very funny about their border. It was quite weird to watch all of the, like, I had to answer questions, I had to say where I was staying, had to say what I was doing, had to show my flight home. It was very weird because they take their border really seriously. You have to queue for hours. But what was quite funny is I just thought, all the stories that we see all the time, just like in the UK, really, is that just people arriving from all over the world who were kind of just ignored and just welcomed in. And, had I just walked in and been an illegal immigrant, I would have been fine. But actually coming here as a legal kind of person with, with no malintent, it's a very different thing. And I think it's the same as the UK. This country confirms it as much as anywhere else. And there was something really, really weird afoot where you know something and you're not supposed to know it. And if you talk about it, you're in the wrong, but you can do it. So we can't name things that are wrong because we're being criminalized for saying what it is that's wrong, but the wrong thing can happen. And I just can't put my finger on it, but I've just done an interview with Megyn Kelly, who is so lovely. I can't tell you. She just gets it. She's sharp, she's beautiful, she's intelligent. She's every bit as wonderful in the flesh as you'd like, and you may possibly imagine. But when I got to my hotel and checked in, the first room was a bit noisy, so I asked to swap. Like, the air conditioning was a bit noisy, so I asked to swap. And then my room actually overlooked the Trump motorcade, so like 10 to 15 cars, definitely Trump in one of them. And yeah, just pretty spectacular. I very much did feel that I'm in the right place at the right time. But weirdly, Trump hasn't knocked on my door or asked me for any of my wisdom. And as you well know, it's up to me, really. It was down to me in 2016 why he got elected in the first place and why he's still so popular. Amongst some women, apparently I am that powerful that I literally do change America's elections. Yeah, so I had a lovely chat with Megyn, and it's very weird because I'm somewhere where, and this happens in the same in the UK as well. It's somewhere where you know that there is crazy poverty and just incredible wealth. And it feels like fiction. So many places, so much that's going on to me at the moment feels like it's a test. There's a woman in the UK, a surrogate, a woman who sold her body to carry someone else's baby. I assume she sold it. I'm assuming she didn't do it for free, and she just won the right to see her biological child. And this could be a victory for surrogacy, except in America they've already had the horrific fight. And we have in the UK, what is a mother? Like, what constitutes a mother? And I think once society starts asking that question, we know we're screwed. We just know we're screwed, because we all know what a mother is, and once we start questioning what a mother is, like, is a mother someone who carries a baby? Well, yeah, a mother should be the person that carries a baby, and nobody should be carrying a baby that isn't their baby. Nobody should be carrying somebody else's egg. I'm totally against donor conception of any kind. I just want everyone to know this, because I questioned someone the other day and then I was accused of it being because she's a lesbian. No, I don't think anyone has the right to create a baby with that baby not having full knowledge about who their parents are. And their parents, no matter how much we like to pretend, and this goes to, like, you can now pretend that a man is a woman. Why? Because you can now pretend that a woman who isn't a mother is a mother. You can pretend that a woman who gives birth to a baby is not a mother. You can pretend a father who ejaculates into a cup and then his sperm is used to impregnate someone. You can use to pretend that that man isn't a father because he hasn't gone into the act of having sex with someone and then her getting pregnant and him being a father. So you will have to pardon me if I don't think that all of these things lead to the same thing, which is that we are merely vessels. We are not humans. We do not have humanity. Because if you take the biological element and aspect and relational element and aspect of biology, then everything is up for grabs. If you can create a baby and you can put on the birth certificate that two people who are the parents of that baby aren't actually the parents of that baby, if you can falsify that fundamental document, that founding document for a human being, then you can do anything. You know, is IVF, donor conception IVF, is that the first step into this pretending that things are that are not? And I do think that the role of a mother can be played by somebody who has adopted, because that is second best. But it is second best. And it just isn't real. There's all these things we put in place to make ourselves as adults feel better, and it's all bullshit. It's bullshit. If you create a life outside of the womb to be planted inside of the womb, and let's face it, you then discard some of those fertilized embryos, like some of those embryos you decide to implant and they will become your child, and some of those embryos you just instantly get rid of. Like, what's the difference there? I also am very much pro-choice, but I'm pro-choice knowing in full knowledge that actually killing a life does occur when you have an abortion. Killing a potential life. You know, you can even call it murder. It won't change my mind that a woman should be forced to give birth. But I do think we keep skirting around what the issues actually are and what we're genuinely talking about. And this place, I don't know, it just amplifies it. It just amplifies it. I'm looking at the moment, there's rooftop pools, and I'm in a hotel, and there's a lot of people that are very pleased with themselves living here, staying here. And the smell of weed is everywhere. And I think it's a psychosis in this country waiting to happen. And it's not nice smelling weed. I'm talking skunk. I'm talking super, super strong weed everywhere. And it's very, very odd. And it's everywhere. And it's like people have just given up, but it just totally smells. Everywhere you go, in LA, in Washington, DC, in New York, it just smells of weed. And it's not great. I guess all of the stuff about abortion and life and everything, that goes back to the very essence of sex and what it means to have sex and casual sex, and how that was sold to women as if that was some sort of, you know, we're reaching some sort of equality. Well, most women there's a different arrangement about what a woman has sex for and what a man has sex for. And to be really, really blunt, a man probably can have a satisfactory sexual encounter with someone who they don't know, don't particularly like, aren't going to stay with, have known for 30 seconds. I'm sure their ejaculation and their pleasure in those moments are exactly the same. It's not the same for women. It's just not the same for women. We don't get the same deal out of it at all as men. And so casual sex is never going to be the fulfilling thing that women get. And most women I know who have numerous partners, they do it for validation. They're not doing it to just have good sex. There's a whole host of other reasons that women have sex. So, um, look, if you want to smoke weed, that's fine, but let's not pretend that it doesn't like do something to your brain. If you smoke it all the time, and certainly if you smoke it in the sort of crazy levels over here. What else did I want to say? You know, I'm in a state where you could bring a child, where it's illegal in your state. You could bring a child to come, a girl to come and have her breast cut off. You could bring a boy to come and have his testicles removed. In the school system here, I just don't know why you'd send your kids to school in this state. It's demonic what they're being taught. So it's just really crazy, and I think we have to appreciate that we are being unmoored from reality. We are being fed lies to the point that we don't recognize the truth anymore, to the point that we sort of think the narcissistic wants of adults, i.e. just having a baby, just have a baby, those things totally outweigh the inhumanity of something like donor conception. I mean, I've talked about this before, where I've said that years and years ago, it didn't even occur to me that egg donation was actually half of your genetics. And I think I'd even had babies at this point, and I'm not a particularly stupid woman, but I'd sort of considered that an egg was part of getting pregnant, but I hadn't really considered that that egg was the thing that carried all your genetic material. And so lots of girls are giving up their eggs, are donating their eggs, especially in this country where you get paid, are donating their eggs, having no understanding that it is their offspring that will be made. And then you don't know where the eggs go after that. But I just think it's worth saying that these things, like when we had the debate in the UK about what is a mother, you know, is the mother the thing that carries, the woman that carries the baby, is the mother the thing with the genetic material? I think even having that conversation was the very beginning of what we now do, which is we give everything a name that makes people feel good, but none of it is true. And we have to stop doing that. We have to just start speaking truthfully. And it's not very nice sometimes to speak the truth, especially to someone who's relying on you lying. So I just want us to bear in mind that a mother is not someone who just by virtue of legal right gets to put their name on a birth certificate. That is not a mother. And there are a lot of children from donor conceived pregnancies that have spoken out about feeling abandoned. I mean, Jesus Christ, I know women in their 60s who still are searching for their father because they've never known who he is. So I felt that needed saying, but it's everything that I have to do. It's everything that I want to do, which is to keep saying the truth, even when it's really not very nice and unpalatable. And eventually, if you keep speaking the truth, people will come round. But if you lie, people won't trust you. If you fabricate, if you revise your history, if you pretend that you were always for something and you weren't, then people don't trust you. And there's quite a lot of people like that in our movement that now are suddenly speaking up for people, women. And we damn well know that they spoke against us not very long ago. Anyway, that's all I have to say on the matter. If you are actually in LA, don't go making any special trips because I haven't got a lot of time. But if you're in LA, do use the UK contact form because that's the only one I can actually access from over here. Anyway, much love to you. I hope you keep speaking the truth because it's really, really important. I just want to, one more thing. I want to draw a distinction, and this is no reflection on Megyn Kelly at all because her and our conversation was fantastic, and you will see, but there is something about why women like me without any political affiliation, why it is that it's very important that we actually lead our own movement. And I'll tell you why. Someone just said I'm not even a real blonde. Yeah, okay, that's amazing. Wow, I am actually. I'm just very, very dark blonde. There's this idea of pet troons, and I think the reason Conservatives do it, and women on our side have done it, is because they think trans is an extension of LGB. And because of that, they say things like, oh, it's got LGBT has gone too far. But T is nothing to do with LGB. And that's why some of these conservative women will buddy up to and have their photographs taken and be pally-pally with troons. And that's because they don't really genuinely understand that there is no good man who wears us as a costume. There isn't. There's not a single decent man who wears us as a costume, who covets our identity, who is a fetishist. And I think that is all of the men that dress as women are fetishists. And so there are no good ones of those. So don't be thinking just because he says, I'm a man, don't be thinking that he's on our side. He isn't. He's on his own side. And I think conservative women at the moment in the United States of America, that's something that they're going to in a bid of kind of being kind and tolerant and accepting. And that's why these particular pet troons actually go for these people, because they want to groom women. Because it's not the bad, it's not your TRAs on Twitter that opened the door for vile, nasty perverts in our spaces. It's not. It's the nice guys. It's the nice guys. It's the reasonable troons. It's the, I'm a man, but I don't mean any harm. I've been invited into women's spaces. It's those men. They're the reason that all the laws are changed. They're the reason that the Gender Recognition Act exists. They're the reason that the Equality Act exists, because they have played a role which is bridging the gap between the raging narcissistic perverts that are overt and the raging narcissistic perverts that are very, very quiet and very good at what they do. They're a lot more clever, they're a lot more predatory, and they will groom you and they will take your time. They will take their time. And they will make sure that they don't demand to come in the space. They're not going to punch you in the face. They're going to make sure that you invite them in. That's the most clever manipulator, right? They don't bang on they don't knock the door down. Oh, no. You invite them in. That's what their role is in this movement. That's what their role is in the movement. The men who are like, I don't mean any harm. You just try saying no to them. You just try saying no. And they figure that out. And they're very, very clever. And they're much more clever than you if you're not seeing it. And you can be coerced and manipulated, which is why we see some high-profile women in the United States of America arm in arm with a man who calls himself a woman, but is trying to be seen as a reasonable troon, right? A reasonable man. I know I'm a man, they might say. And because of that, they'll follow you right up to the ladies and they'll go, oh, no, I won't come in. And you'll say, you lovely conservative woman, will go, no, come on, come in. It's absolutely fine, come in. We know that you're all right. And you know that you're doing that, ladies. You know that you're doing that. You know that when you have a big event, that what you're saying to those men is, no, you can come because you know what a man is. Yes. And they're working on the fact that you women want to be seen to be kind, be seen to be accepting, that you're not really transphobes, and so you're going to invite them into your inner circle and your spaces. And you're not going to want to say no because they've groomed you really, really well. And that's what they keep doing. So I just want to say, there are many predators. They come in many guises, and often they're the nicest, most charming people that you know. They're not going to come in. They're not going to hammer down the door. They're not going to huff and they're not going to puff. They're going to look at you all vulnerable, and they're going to tell you, they're going to look you in the eye, and they're going to tell you that they know they're men and that they would never expect ever to be welcomed in a woman's space. No, they never would expect it. They never would ask. They never would want it. They know that it's really bad. They think it's terrible when those men come in your space. They'll tell you that. And then you'll let your guard down and you'll say, oh, it's fine. Just come in. And in they fucking come. And then you'll never get them out. So, anyway. If you can keep speaking the truth, even when you know that it's going to make you unpopular, and I don't mean Keir Starmer unpopular, then I promise we will win. If you, like me, can thoroughly enjoy this beautiful city that I'm in, then I promise we will win. And do you know why else we're going to win? Well, because I never lose